What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we got my brother, your brother, B.
What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight?
Yeah, B. We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, sir. And if you don't know, now you'll know. This is our 200th podcast of the Real Fan Review. Doing 200 episodes with my brother, my man in the chair, and our boy Sanj, who comes on when he can, has been absolutely crazy. But let's get right into this episode because today we're talking about those Super Bowl trailers. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us episode 4 and 5. And then we're also going to get into the Ant-Man prep because we do have Ant-Man and the Wasp of the Quantumania this Thursday. So let's get it going. We got a lot to talk about. Fellas, those Super Bowl trailers came out yesterday. We're talking about the Fast and Furious 10 or Fast X. We have Indiana Jones, The Death of the Nile. We also have The Flash. Come on, that was crazy, The Flash.
Yeah.
We also have Creed 3, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and a few other movies that were coming out, which were absolutely crazy. I think Mario Brothers had a trailer as well. Al, talk to me, man. Which one stood out to you most yesterday from the trailers you saw?
From those, I would definitely have to say The Flash, only because it gave such a better understanding, in my opinion, of what we could be expecting for this reboot. Still didn't make me happy about the reboot, but I can understand the direction they're maybe going to go and how it justifies certain characters no longer being there, or at least certain actors no longer being there.
Right.
And how they can still play out certain characters being there at different times if they wanted to, how it's going to give them the flexibility to move forward with the DC based on however he decides going forward. And it just looks good. The only thing, again, I don't know is, does this movie justify them ignoring and pushing past everything that Ezra Miller did during and after the filming of this movie? And yeah, I don't know if I'm in agreement in putting this movie forward just because he went to a few counseling sessions, or they went to a few counseling sessions. So, I hope they are getting the help they need, but does it warrant ignoring all of that in order to put this movie out? We'll see.
We'll see, right? Because I think that movie's coming out in June. And they've got a lot of time for Ezra Miller there to fix his issues. And will he be a part of the promoting of that movie too? It's going to be exciting to see if he's a part of it or not, because I think that might tell us if there's a plan for him, because again, they haven't said they're going to reboot a lot of the characters. And if you guys know the Flash history, when he does do the breaking the timeline kind of thing, or what do they call it, Flashpoint? It's usually him who's leading the next series as well. So we'll see what they're doing, because I haven't heard about a new Flash or a new couple of other characters. B, how about yourself, man? What trailer stood out to you last night?
I would say probably Guardians. Guardians 3, the most melodramatic trailer I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, someone's gonna die. Maybe it's everyone. Like, and it's just like, all right, cool. Like, all right, awesome. But like, it was a really good setup trailer. I'm interested in seeing what they're doing with this one, because they've put everybody out in the forefront in the trailer, but I still don't understand how it all works out. So I'm very interested in this movie, seeing how they do the send-off for the Guardians. I will say I did see the Fast 10 trailers because they had the two of them, the one that we saw last week or at the weekend, and then the one that came out with
like
the Super
Friday
Bowl
or
spot.
Saturday.
Yeah. I will say that it was just a little too much family for me. Nobody messes with my family. Like, I was like, all right. But I would say that, and like, I agree with the Flash. I think that they did a really good job with the trailer. It was really exciting trailer, seeing Michael Keaton, Batman, doing a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
That was very awesome. I will say that for the moment that I saw the trailer, because of all of the Michael Keaton, I forgot about the Flash stuff, you know? And at the end of the trailer, you know, Dawn was right next to me, my fiance, and she was like, isn't he not a good guy? And I was like, who are you talking about? She was like, oh, Ezra Miller. I'm like, oh yeah, they're not doing so good. I'm like, ah. And just like Al said, I was like, you know, I don't know if like the movie warrants putting all that aside, you know? And agreed,
Yeah.
like just like Al said, I'm happy that they are getting help, hopefully, that they are going through their
Right.
things. You know, people make the same debate about RDJ, you know, how he had a lot of trouble past before Iron Man, and you know,
Oh
he had
yeah.
his redemption, and you know, I completely understand where that's coming from. I think that this is so recent that it's left a bad kind of stain for me, but
Hmm.
I feel like, you know, as I am not excited for the Flash movie, I'm excited for what may come because of the Flash movie, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, for me, guys, I'm gonna say the best trailer I saw was that Flash trailer because I mean, while I appreciated seeing Mirage, an old classic Transformer of mine, in a commercial, it was awesome. But it's nothing different from what we saw in the previous commercials. Just a couple more little edits and Mirage speaking that we saw on the Transformer commercial for the Super Bowl. The Indiana Jones thing was good, but nothing different from the previous trailer we've seen before. The Guardians of the Galaxy thing was kind of cool, but again, very like you guys said already, melodramatic. Just very like someone's leaving the series, you know, for good. Someone's leaving the MCU for good. Apparently, whether it's Drax or Ratchet or even they hint at Quill, but come on, guys, Quill's not going nowhere. So he's not going anywhere. But it definitely hints at something's going to happen in this movie. But I gotta
Mhm.
say, didn't get the a vibe of this is going to be a classic. This is going to be great. I didn't get that from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Creed 3 got me excited. I can't wait for Creed 3. But the Flash, I mean, watching the commercial with the wifey next to me in the Super Bowl, and I'm like, oh shit, Ben Affleck's like in this movie. Then it's like Michael Keaton's in the movie. Then I was just like, hold up, is that Zod? Because they showed the fuzzy TV with the head pointing out, and I remember that from Superman. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, Man of Steel Zod is in this movie. And sure enough, they showed the freaking propulsion system just suck everybody up and then drop it. And I was like, this is going back to Zod.
Yeah.
So it's like we got Zod, we got the two Batmans, we got Supergirl. And to me, it's like, what else? And then I don't know about you guys. I saw the Bat Cycle.
Yeah.
And
That was
maybe
yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen, I only remember seeing one Bat Cycle in my life. I maybe this is Michael Keaton, or maybe it is uh
No, I think it's
Ben.
Ben
I
Affleck. I
was gonna
thought
say
the same
Benifer.
thing. I would say Christian Bale.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, is Christian Bale in this movie? Again, and I completely understand where you two are coming from when you say, does Ezra Miller deserve any kind of accolades or whatever it is? And not for nothing. I'm looking at the marketing. They're leaving him out of a lot of it. Besides, I mean, they can't leave the Flash out of the Flash, but the posters don't show his face, and you know, a lot of this talk has been about Michael Keaton more than Ezra Miller. But again, we can only hope that they get the help that they need and they kind of like fix themselves as far as the way they're thinking and mentality of the things that they're doing with this huge opportunity, amount of money that they're making. They could be, I don't want to say a superstar, but they could be someone special. I mean, I'm sorry, they are in the Harry Potter series, in a bunch of other things that they could be at some comedies back in the day. I just
Mhm.
want this Flash to be awesome because, again, we have very little to go on. Because I remember Al saying one time that what's the purpose to see Aquaman and the Flash if they have nothing to do with the future? But this movie just made me say, "Fuck the future! I want to see this movie. Like, I want to see the Batmans, and legitly the Batmans
Yeah.
because they look. It just the movie looks incredible. It looks epic. It looks like a summer blockbuster, and I
Yeah.
can't wait. and I hope it's our movie of the year because it looks like it has the potential, man.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for it, man. I love it. Now, just wanted to ask you guys: was there a second thing that you liked the most? Because again, there were so many trailers. Again, we had the Creed 3, Transformers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Flash. Was there anything else that got you like, okay, I need to see that also?
For me, it was the Guardians. After that,
Guardians, yeah.
close one was the Guardians, only because, like Brandon said, like heavy insinuation, someone dies.
Right.
So it becomes who, you see each one of them at some point being carried by everybody else.
Right.
And you see Quill being carried literally by everyone. You see Drax with a gunshot wound to his chest and being carried. So, who is it that's not making it? And especially since, from what I understand, this is going to be the last Guardians, especially with Gunn now being over at DC. So, the emotional content that they're bringing to this one, whether it's because it's the final one or if that's just the arc that they were looking to go for.
Right.
Wanting to see, this looks like it's going to be funny because, especially when the intro where he says, I'm Peter Quill, Star-Lord, I fell in love with this girl, then she died, and then she came back as a big ass dick. So I mean, they have their humor, but it looks like there's going to be some seriousness to it. So I want to see this movie and how they play out the final chapter in this story. Because, like you said before, nobody was looking for Guardians of the Galaxy, and now I can almost not see what the MCU is going to look like without them. So
right.
I want to see how they end their chapter.
Hell yeah. And B, what was the second favorite for you? Was it also Guardians?
It's actually gonna be Blueback, the Australian fish movie.
How dare I forget not mentioning Blueback, Brandon?
How fucking dare you? Can I say that was probably the most random trailer to come out of the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, oh, what's happening in this Australian movie? I'm like, there's a fish. It's a big fish. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm like, why is this happening? You couldn't have given me another minute of Transformers.
And that better be a good movie because how much were those spots? Jesus.
Right?
Exactly, man.
For an Australian fish movie?
For me, it's going to be Creed 3, man. Just watching, Michael B. Jordan and also Jonathan Majors. And again, nothing really different from what we saw before, but just reminding me it's coming back out soon. I can't wait to see that movie, especially with those two phenomenal actors and the way that they give their all to all their characters, man. Cannot wait for Creed 3. I think this is this month also, February, right? Creed 3? Towards the end of the month?
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly.
March.
All right. So listen, you guys out there watching, what was your favorite trailer that you saw over the Super Bowl weekend? I gotta give a shout out to the Fast X trailer. That shit, when Fast 9 sucked the way that it did and was so like stupid with its science and all the stuff that they were doing, Fast 10 made me say, you know what? I'm still in. Yeah. I want to see this movie. Fast 10 looks ridiculous. Same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy B. Someone's dying in this one, B. I don't know who's gonna get it, but someone's dying.
It's like the mom. That's who. They're not killing anybody. They're killing the mom.
That's crazy.
It's like the second time we've seen her in the series. Like that's it.
I'm so looking forward to Fast and Furious, man.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So listen,
I was to racing too, so that's going to be a good thing.
It's going to be nice to see that for once. But I also see all the other little side freaking settings. It looks like it's huge, just like the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Huge backdrops, huge reasons. There's a freaking metal ball in the streets. What? You know what I like that when movies do like something like we didn't see that aspect was the when Jason Momoa was in the vault from Brazil. Oh my God, just crazy, man. But again, to the people watching, to the people listening, what was your favorite Super Bowl trailer? Let us know. Email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com or comment below on the YouTube page there and let us know what your favorite trailer was, and we'll see if we can bring it up on the next podcast to tell people what they're looking forward to the most. Let's talk really quickly now. We've been talking about The Last of Us, first episode, second episode, third episode, because there hasn't really been a lot of movies. And we didn't get to podcast last week, but this week, let's talk about episode 4 and 5, just really briefly, just overall thoughts, because I feel like episode 4 and 5 was just a story of Sam and Henry, right? Is it Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
B, talk to me, man. Again, you're the one who played the game for a little bit there. Did you get this far, B, before you got before they asked you to stay back?
I want I want to say that I did get here because I do remember Sam and Henry. I actually from this point I don't
Okay.
remember too much about them. Like I believe that they both got bit in the game, but I could be wrong. I don't really remember that far. But
Right.
I enjoyed these 2 episodes because it was just a straightforward narrative that brings Joel closer to Ellie, but also tells
Yeah,
the story of
absolutely.
other survivors. And even though they don't
Mhm.
survive in the end, spoiler alert, but it's just the more we get the stories of other people and how their lives kind of intertwine with
Mhm.
Joel or Ellie in some way, shape, or form, the more it kind of drives the story forward. Because even these episodes, they didn't necessarily like do anything too crazy. There was a lot of crazy stuff, but it's just the way the relationships impact Joel and Ellie's relationships is what actually I feel really builds this story as it does in the video game.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really appreciated the episode 4 and 5 for what they were doing, because again, it kind of got back to Ellie and Joel's story itself. I feel like episode 3, as great as it was, it really didn't do much for them as their story, besides a small part of it, and to kind of explain how they're going forward and everything. And again, Al mentioned before, the reason why they're doing this is for this kind of life, right? To achieve that you can still love and have visitors come by for dinner and stuff like that. The deal of living rather than surviving. So, which was Al, kudos, man. When I heard it on the podcast, when I was watching in the car, I was like, fucking Al. Words of wisdom. But yeah, I loved episode 4 and 5. We had the epic scene in episode 5 of the what are they called, Brandon? They're not the undead, but they're infected.
Oh, the clickers?
Well, we
Infected?
had the clickers, the infected. We also had a bloater. Apparently, I didn't know
We had
there
a
was a thing called
bloater.
the.
Yeah.
Oh, he came out on the ground. But the way they
Yeah.
attacked the people when they came from the ground, I was like, that's fucking nuts. That was crazy to see. But dude, I almost cried my eyes out at the end when, well, 2 scenes. When Ellie hugged Sam, and just seeing that they're going to be in this relationship, that they're together, they're trying to withhold. And then again, we're talking full spoilers here now. Uh, the the fact that Henry had to shoot his little brother
Yeah.
after everything that he had done. The reason why he was in this trouble with this resistance group was because he killed one of their leaders for Sam, to rescue Sam. It was one or the other, and he chose his brother, of course. Um, and then at the end, for him be the one that does it, and then he has to commit suicide himself because he can't even believe what he did, was so traumatic for me, dude. Like, I couldn't believe what I watched. I was so in shock with everything and how everything all fell through. It just tells you like how good the show is as far as its writing. I mean, I think a lot of people were affected by seeing what they saw, because again, you just remember that Sam was just a little boy a few seconds ago, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he's being shot by his brother. Was just intense and crazy. I just think that they're doing such a great job to get us invested in characters that we literally meet for about a 15-20 minutes. You know what I mean? 15-20 minutes. We met them at the end of episode, what? The end of episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even. We were just like basically just, we saw them and that was it. So we got to meet them in this episode 5 and learn who they are, their story. And by the end of it, I could not believe that they're no longer part of the show. Crazy.
Mhm.
Al,
Yeah.
yourself, man, what'd you think of episode 4 and 5?
Yeah. I mean, I wish they had combined them into maybe one longer episode.
Gotcha.
So, only because, from what I'm understanding, we're episode 5 and it's 9 episodes. So you got to finish the rest of game one, Last of Us 1 in 4 more episodes. So I wish they had just consolidated this one into a longer 4. so that we could have had more episodes for the rest of the story. But to your point, the emotion that came with these 2 episodes was huge. There's a lot more story building that was happening. As much as 4 could have been blended into this one, it's still built on the relationship between Joel and Elle, especially
Ellie,
with that joke, with that joke book and everything.
Dude, that was so
again,
funny, man. Like, he beat himself on that last one, man.
Yeah, so you see him going from this stoic leave me alone to now he's opening up, he's finishing the joke in order to have fun with her. And then, you end it with Sam and Henry, and you hear about them, and then you get to see their story and how that plays out and why they're after Henry, and why Henry did what he did. And, it's a choice, like you said, I think any one of us would make. But sadly, at the end of the episode, for it to have almost to say been for nothing, because now both of them are gone. It's heartbreaking because like you said, they're making these decisions and trying to survive and live in this world, and everything almost get like, no matter what these people do, everything keeps getting taken away from them. Like Joel now just has Elle, and somewhere in the back of his head, he's got to be wondering, when is she going to go? Or when is something going to happen to her? And I think in the beginning, that's why he didn't want to get, attach to anybody, and that's why I think he was strained with, what was her name from the episode 3? What was her name? That she blows up, she blows herself up.
Tess?
Tess.
Oh, Tess, yeah.
Yeah, that's why where I think she comes, like, I know you can never admit it, because I think he's afraid of loss. He knows at some point he's just anticipating it again. And this episode brought that back home. Like, yo, they're doing all this, they're struggling, but at any time, anybody can bite it. And you don't know from what. And one of the things I like that they're doing is, as much of a threat as they're making these infecteds seem and be, the bigger threat seems to always be the other people.
Right.
And even he says it at some point, like when they were hiding out, and and she goes, "Oh, what are they affected here?" And he goes, "No, people." Like he was more afraid of other people than he was of infected hearing them. So as much as people don't like the quiet parts of this show, I'm enjoying it the most, because to me, that's when they're doing the biggest world building there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's been great to see, and to be honest with you, it's been showing why this show is so good. I mean, I can't even see the future really, honestly, because to me, it's like they're doing one thing here, one thing there. I don't know what to expect for the next episode besides what the trailer shows, which is they're going to link up with the brother from the first episode there. I have no idea what to expect next. Like, I mean, is the bloater going to follow them? Are there more infected or different things that are infected that's going to come out and show itself in the next few episodes? I have no idea where this story is going. B, I go to you for this. B, is there much more to this story that we need to expect or see from where they're going? Because I think the next episode they link up with the brother in his camp. His brother's not part of the Fireflies, according to what he said before, but there's still a road to the Fireflies as well.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, I felt like there was more to the story to get to where we need to be, like in terms of understanding more about Fedra, understanding more about the Fireflies, just really understanding who these factions are and why there's a big problem,
Right.
And I feel like if episode 6 is focusing on Tommy, then 7, 8, and 9, I feel like have to be longer episodes if this is going to be game number 1. Just for the sake of that, I felt like there was more story to tell. Now, in the same level of things, those were video game levels, and the creators have done a really good job adapting this show to the game. So I know a lot of things might get cut out because they were, levels in the game and not necessarily the story driven part of it. So there may be a way to cut levels in order to make the story work to get to where we need to get to for the ending. I'm excited to see how they do it, because they've made a lot of smart moves so far. So if they're saying we're gonna do it 3 more episodes after episode 6, then I'm sure they're gonna do it in a really good way.
Gotcha. Any expectations for what they're going to be bringing to the next episodes here?
Um, well, I know they're doing, from what I understand, is a DLC, because I know they've given flashbacks to her story. Because you remember when she said, "I've done it before," in terms of killing someone. I know we're going to get a flush out of that story, which brings the what's her name's Reed. There's going to be a story of some character that she went into some place, and I'm assuming she had to either kill the friend or kill someone to protect the friend. So I think we're going to get that story. So to Brandon's point, with how much story they have left to tell, I hope
Right.
that doesn't become a whole episode in and by itself, because then you're squeezing so much into 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, but like he said, like you guys have also said, they've done a good job of balancing out, flushing out story, as well as bringing in details from the show that or from the game that need to be told. Like, I felt like I was playing the game when Joel was up in that house shooting everybody.
Oh,
So like I
yes.
said, I'm watching that play out, and I'm like, all right, I know I didn't play the game. This is a level.
That's a level.
This guy
That's
had
for
a
sure.
sniper on 100. He
watching
maxed out sniping.
I felt like I was on YouTube watching somebody play the game right there, because I knew that had to have been a level on the game. So,
Yeah,
but
and that
that's
looked
what I'm
crazy
saying.
cool, him taking out those zombies like that, the
Yeah,
infected
and
there.
that's what I'm saying. And it felt like a show. It didn't feel like reenacting a game. It felt like a good balance between the show and what they're trying to do in terms of staying true to the game. So as long as they can do that, but balance out how much more story needs to be told, I think we're in good for a good next 4 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the same, man. And again, I can't wait to look forward to the next episode that comes out. I love the fact that they didn't want to be against the Super Bowl at the same time, so they released the episode on HBO Max on Friday. Al, shout out to you for letting me know. So that was awesome. I didn't have to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning watching The Last of Us in the middle of the night, man.
Yeah.
But you did ruin my fucking weekend because I had to watch that kid get shot. So thanks, man. Just crazy, man. And listen, with that said, we're going to be looking forward to episode number 6, and we'll do our best to talk about it, because again, we're going to concentrate on the movie stuff.
Yeah.
And this leads us to our next topic, which is our last topic, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. That's coming out this Thursday, and to be honest with you, I am so looking forward to this movie, because I feel like Phase 4, it didn't completely suck. Yeah, I don't want to get people to think that I thought that Phase 4 for the MCU was just a waste of time. But I just feel like there was a lot of bad taste in my mouth from Thor, what not being that great. For Multiverse of Madness, not really getting into the madness. It was a good movie, but not it didn't delve into as far as I thought it could go. And also just the hyping up of this trailer of the Quantumania. The trailers that have come out have been so amazing, so cool. So I'm looking forward to this movie. So what I did was I started rewatching the Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man 2. I'll never forget Civil War. I'll never forget Infinity War, and never forget Endgame. So I didn't need to rewatch those 3 movies. But I did kind of forget about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and also forgot about Ant-Man, the first one. I have to say, rewatching it, I liked it a lot more than I remember liking it, especially the first Ant-Man. I thought it was so good, so chill, so different from the normal MCU, and just again a quick little story within the MCU, which was awesome. Love seeing Ant-Man versus the Falcon in the first one. That was pretty awesome. And in the second one, just the story itself of the quantum realm, which is a little bit hard to understand, because now that we see these trailers, the quantum realm is this place that has like a wasteland, and then it also has Kang and his cities, which is going to be hard to explain after seeing Quantumania. Like, where did all this stuff come from? Is it a deeper level of the Quantumania? Is it the other side of the quantum realm that we didn't see? they're gonna have to do some splaining. So, Al, let's talk about Ant Man himself, man. Right now, talk to me, man. Where is Ant Man now in your mind before we get to Quantum Mania?
I think Ant-Man at this point, he's matured. I mean, you in the first one, he was comical, he was the thief, he was the, common criminal, that they just brought in to suit a specific purpose. But now with everything he's been through the loss, through the combat, the battles, I think we're getting a more matured Ant-Man, and who is more now, I think, believable as a hero. Whereas in the beginning, you were like, all right, come on, how is this guy now an Avenger or something, even on their level? Whereas now you can actually see him fitting into that role. I don't know if you can believe him being on the Kang level, but you can see him being a hero, part of the team, and carrying his weight. And now that he's more comfortable with what his abilities are with the suit, it's cool seeing how quickly he can transition into knowing whether he has to go small, go big, and adapting to the situation now. So I'm looking forward to seeing him being more of a mentor now in that sense, because now his daughter's coming in and she's going to have to be doing this, because from what I saw in some of the clips, the three of them are involved.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how he now takes on the mentor role as opposed to being the mentee as before, where, the Avengers were having to teach him how to do this, how to adapt, how to respond, react, and fight. So now he's having to teach his daughter. So, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially since it seems like they're trying to build up the young Avengers. How quickly does she take on those learnings and put them into practice?
Yeah, gotcha, man. And Brandon, the other half of our Ant-Man and the Wasp is the Wasp herself. We got to see a little bit of her in the first movie there. And, she didn't get her suit till the very end of the movie where they said they were going to work on the suit or finish the suit off. And then we have her in Ant-Man and the Wasp as playing the Wasp. And she was in the suit doing her damn thing. And then I think we didn't see her again until Endgame, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, tell me, B, what's your thoughts on the Wasp? Doesn't have to be anything specific, but what's your thoughts on her and in this film, what you expect to see?
I'm hoping she has a role to play that is equal, almost, I mean, not almost to Ant-Man, but is a good equal role, because based on all of the marketing, based on a lot of what we see, and she's rarely shown in any of the footage. We see her with the signature Wasp haircut, but like other than that, we haven't really seen her in any of the trailers. And so I'm hoping she has like a significant role to play and she's not kind of put in the background, because this is still Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So
Right.
I'm hoping that, if Ant-Man has this Kang storyline, then the Wasp has something to do with her mom. Like I'm hoping there's a storyline there for her too that makes it make sense, because it seems like this is very Ant-Man centric. And I mean,
Right.
initially it was the start of his series, so I understand why this is very Ant-Man centric. But if you're saying the Wasp in the title, then I also want to see something from the Wasp too.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, and I'll take on Cassie. I mean, as far as Cassie goes for me, I've been watching basically the baby girl grow now because the first episode seems like she was about maybe 6 years old, 7 years old in that first one, which was awesome. And she just loves her dad, Excuse me. She just loves her dad, wants to be around her dad, thinks her dad is the coolest thing ever. Then we go into Ant-Man and the Wasp, where dad is now, because of Civil War, he's at home. He what do they call that when they send him home, Al?
House arrest?
He's under house arrest. Thank you for the words there. So he's under house arrest, so he really can't leave the house. He has to stay there, and Cass is coming to him. He builds like almost like an Ant-Man house within his home, so that they could play mystery stuff, which is really cool. And again, she thinks of him as the world. She loves her dad. She texts him 911 because of her missing soccer cleats, which is beautiful and cute. Like it's just amazing. I have to say one of the most heart-wrenching, heartbreaking parts of Endgame was her reaction as she was a teenager now or older. I'm assuming teenager in Ant-Man, I'm sorry, in Endgame. And when, it's Scott Lang is our Ant-Man there. He goes to see the house where Cassie is, and Cassie's grown up, and just he could not believe how old she was and how she looked, and then, like, how much time he's missed, which is, I think, a big deal for this movie that's coming up, is the amount of time missed.
Yeah.
um he missed the little one. I mean, if you see in the trailers, he's looking at his phone, and his phone still has the ringtone picture, well, not the ringtone picture, but the ringtone, and the picture that shows up is Cassie as a child still. So it's like he misses all that time. He was in jail for a couple of years. He was, you know gone for 5 years during Infinity War and Endgame. So much time he's missed with his daughter, which is basically the reason why he does a lot of the stuff that he does, because he just wants to be in a world with his daughter, and it's just, I don't know, it's beautiful, it's cute. But I'm very interested in seeing how Cassie is played in this movie in Quantumania, because Cassie's being played by another character now. Granted, the person we saw in Endgame only had a small role, which was that heartwarming scene, but this time it's played by another character. And forgive me for not remember the actress's name, but she was in other movies that she does a great role lead in. And
Hmm.
just from the trailers itself, it looks like she's playing the role great. I can't wait to see what she does in this movie. It looks like she's taken on her father's way of working, where she was into something where she was either stealing something, or she was a part of a protest against a company, and she landed in jail. So it's like she's taking on dad's role there. So she's doing that, and somehow ends in the Quantumania. Now, what I want to understand when I watch this movie is I want to see the reasoning why she has a suit. For
Yeah.
as much as he loves his daughter and wants to keep her out of trouble, you made a suit that goes to her, unless she's wearing one of the Wasp suits or something like that. So they got to have to explain that part. Um, Another big deal with Ant-Man, guys, is the cast. You also have Michelle Pfeiffer playing the original Wasp. You have Michael Douglas playing the original Scott, not Scott Lang, but who's our original Ant-Man out? I mean, Brandon,
Hank
from
Pym.
the comics. Hank Pym. He's playing
Yeah.
Hank Pym. And then we also have the three ex-cons. You have T.I. and the guy who goes, the Baba Yaga. And we also have Michael Pena, who does a great job as always. Guys, talk to me. Are you hoping to see? Well, I don't think the ex-cons are in this movie. I haven't heard anything, but I don't think they're in this movie. But what about Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer? Al, what are you thinking of those two there?
Well, in terms of them, I'm just looking to see an expansion of Michelle, the original Wasp's character, to see what does she go through there, because she's going to be our guide through the quantum realm, because she was there before for quite a number of years and
Right.
survived it. So I'm looking to see their explanation of what she went through, why she got so terrified when she found out that the message was being sent there,
Yeah.
and just navigating what she did, because sometimes the best of us to survive, especially a situation like that, maybe we don't make some a lot of the wholesome decisions we think we would make.
Hmm.
So I'd like to see what kind of a person she became while there, in an effort to survive, because it doesn't look like it's a pleasant area. So
No.
I'd like to see the expansion that they're going to give us on her character, how Michael Douglas's character then responds to that. Once he finds out maybe some of the things that she did, some of the decisions she made. Um, so that's the part of their story that I'm looking forward to.
And B, how about for you? What the side characters? Is there any of them stand out to you that you're really looking forward to seeing their next role play out in this movie?
I'm actually really interested in the whole Modoc story. I want to
Mhm.
see how that happens. I feel like that's gonna be like the quiet opening to the movie, like before the Marvel logo, is like
Uh-huh.
the scene of how Modoc becomes Modoc.
Right.
Um, so I'm interested in seeing more about Modoc's story, why he is Kang's like assistant, or even if he is or not. What is he? Why does he play this role? And kind of
Mhm.
seeing where he goes from there.
Hey, Al, did we lose B?
You guys hear me?
Yep, I hear you now.
Okay. I don't know if we lost you.
It's kind of crazy because I see that, like, Al's Wi-Fi is going, my Wi-Fi is going, yours keeps going in and out too. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi. Maybe it's those objects that are flying around.
God damn. Oh, Al, you've been on mute.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
B, I heard you through your whole explanation, so I heard you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably just me then. So listen, let's talk really quickly about the major piece. Haha. Get the joke, major. Let's get the major piece in there, which is Kang. You know, this is a villain that Brandon has been talking about since Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Brandon wanted to see Kang. And I'll never
Mhm.
forget that because I also listened to the first episode we did last week. So so Brandon's been looking forward to seeing Kang. I really don't know Kang from the comic books, to be honest with you. I just know he's the guy with the blue mask and the purple and green, and I never knew anything about him. But according to what I've been reading and seeing and hearing about Kang, he's a formidable villain, and he does a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see because I also remember, you know, our boy Tony. He said when you play with time, it tends to fight back. So
Mhm.
Brandon, talk to me, man. You've been talking about Kang for a long time, man. Now you get to see your Kang, and not your He Who Remains Kang, but your real
Yeah,
Kang.
getting Kang. I mean, that trailer when it came out originally, I was like, holy shit, like that's Kang,
Mhm.
just a beast of a person, and it's exactly how he says, like, there are panels from comics where you've seen like his trophy room, and his trophy room is literally just mass shields, Thor's hammer, like Iron Man's face, like it's just trophies of the Avengers he's killed,
Oh man.
and like that's like one of the introductions
Whew.
to Kang is like this guy's gonna fuck you up. And so that's why when we saw Infinity War and we were thinking time in the next movie for Endgame, I was like, holy crap, like Thanos isn't the villain anymore. Like we're getting Kang. Like it's like if we're saying time, like, it's Kang. And so,
Yeah.
when it comes to Kang, like he if this movie is the start of us seeing Kang in whatever form this is going to take,
Right.
then I am excited to see where this goes
Mhm.
because Kang can just mess things up. And so if you're telling me like he's not just in this movie, but he's gonna be in that movie, in this movie, we got Kang Dynasty, it's like if you're telling me that he's leading this way, then it's gonna be big. And so I'm excited.
It's gonna be here. All right. And how about for you, Al? What you thinking about Kang there? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, just excited to see because again, like I said, I think I said this before. I have no idea about Kang. Don't know what he's capable of. So if
Right.
this is going to be our big bad, just to get a good introduction to him, to get an understanding of what he's capable of, what he's willing to do, and ultimately what his end game, what his, so to speak, end game is. Like, what is he ultimately after? How does that tie back into Loki? Because we're going to have another season of Loki, and then to get an idea as to what other um, projects he's going to show up in. So, just like I said, just to get that good introduction and get an understanding of what we can expect from him going forward.
Yeah. Gotcha, man. I mean, listen, I'm looking forward to Kang just because Jonathan Majors is playing this character, and I love what he did with He Who Remains. It just seeing how he played He Who Remains, and I know that Kang will be a different variant of that. And just from what I've seen from the trailers, you know, just the seriousness that he's playing Kang with, like, have I killed you before? Like he sounds like a crazy person. Like, why is he talking like that? Like
It's really funny is like Jonathan Majors, if you've actually seen like any of his interviews, he's like
yeah,
a very eccentric speaker. Like he gets
yes,
very excited and like his voice he has a lot of inflections. So to
uh,
then like have him kind of tone himself down, you're like, oh
yeah.
shit, he is acting right now.
Yeah, man. And again, with He Who Remains, he's just like, if you think I'm bad, wait till you meet my variants. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I can't wait to see this stuff.
Yeah.
So now let's get into our, like we always do this when a Marvel movie's about to come out. The things that we hope to see, whether it's like something you don't think you're gonna see, like it's something crazy and amazing. Like I'll go first on this one here. Like what I'm hoping to see, honestly, is just an explanation to the quantum realm itself, because we've been there 4 times now, if you count Infinity War and Endgame, right? No, Endgame. So not Infinity War. And Endgame was where the idea came of. And each time we've seen it, it has expanded to what we thought it was. And now we're gonna get to Quantumania, and there's like a whole planet, like there's people, there's vehicles, there's landscapes, and I just saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. Everything was fuzzy and bubbly, like just like weird looking. So like, where are we getting these landscapes now from? Where everything's just normal? Are they a little
Yeah.
bit deeper? Are they inside of a bubble? Or what is going on in there to understand the quantum realm? Because it's hard to go back now and be like, hey, look at what it looked like before. Now look at it now. It's like a planet almost. So I want to see how they explain the quantum realm. One of my hopefuls, like I don't think I'm gonna get, but I got my fingers crossed. I don't know why I want to think this, but to part of me is like, hearing the rumors about the Fantastic Four, that they're going to be from the 60s. You're going to have to explain how they're from the 60s and no one's ever heard of them. So to me, it's like, are the Fantastic Four from a different timeline, a different time period, and they're stuck in the quantum realm somehow, some way? That would be amazing for me to hear or see. But again, who knows what's really going on? Al, talk to me, man. What's a hopeful thing you want to see in this movie?
Couple of cameos. Like you said, given the nature of how much this story is going to touch into the rest of the MCU, as much as I know it's Ant-Man's movie, I wouldn't mind seeing how, like just a hint of an interaction with the rest by having certain cameos, like who's going to be like, who's the next, whether this be through an after credit scene or mid credit scene, like just to touch on where we're going, the next direction. One of my main issues with Phase 4 was I don't feel like there was a good interconnection between the stories. So if I as long, I'm hoping and expecting to see a better connection between this and what the next link in the story is going to be, so that we can have a better understanding of what the overarching story is this time, and see how the stories relate to each other. So that's what I'm hoping for, whether that be through
Gotcha.
whoever our new Reed Richards is and having a cameo by that actor. And even if it's just for, hey, here's your new Reed Richards, and it's in a quick 2-second scene, or an insinuation or somebody coming in, kind of like one of the X-Men's movies when they were going back in time, and you see Professor X and Magneto talking to Wolverine in a bar. Like, even if we get something like that, so that we know, oh shit, look, they just showed us Wolverine and who that's going to be. So if we can get something like that, I think that would be cool.
All right, B, for yourself, man, what's something you're hopeful to see, something that you want to see in this movie for Ant-Man and the Quantumania?
I feel like, to me, like Al said, I kind of just want to keep continuing the MCU, and I want it to make sense. And for me, given the movie releases that we know about, I know there are some that we don't know about yet, but given what we do know about, somehow we have to explain the Fantastic Four. And I'm hoping, like you said, that maybe there's an introduction to them in this movie. Like I heard the same thing about them being from the 60s, and given I think it was the first Avengers when they were showing off. Oh no, it was Captain America when they were showing off the first Human Torch, right? The android Human Torch in that movie.
Right.
I feel like that was the timeline in which we had, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, but we didn't have a Fantastic Four, and something happened where they're in the quantum realm, And maybe this movie
Right.
they get released from it. Maybe they've been in there 6 hours, and that 6 hours is 60 years, you know? And
Right.
so maybe that's
Because
how we get our
time
introduction to
works
them.
differently in the quantum realm.
Yep, that's right. So that's my thinking, that like that's my way of explaining, hey, now here's Fantastic Four. They're out into the world like Captain America was, and boom, we get a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. All right. And then listen, guys, with the theme of last phase 4 with a lot of deaths. There was so many deaths in the MCU last season because it's like a TV show, right? Um Usually part 3 is where something big happens and we lose somebody in the series. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of people suggesting that we lose Scott Pym in this one because in the comic books, losing Scott Pym is what leads Cassie to start the Young Avengers. And we've been introduced to the Young Avengers in the last MCU Phase 4. A lot of them in different separate stories, but there's got to be something that brings them all together. We've seen in the last phase also the Avengers are kind of separated. They're all in different locations, all handling different things. So they need this one central thing to bring everyone together, and they're wondering if it's the death of Ant-Man because that's what happened in the comic books, I believe, right, B?
Yeah, Scott Lang does die.
Yeah. So
Well,
and
sorry,
that's what
Hank
caused
Pym. Hank
Hank
Pym
Pym.
dies. Hank
Oh,
Pym dies
Hank
in the
Pym
comic
dies.
book.
Okay.
Yeah, Hank Pym
And
dies.
yeah, so it's like it's kind of interesting to see. So if we had to guess, and I'll let you guys guess first because I always seem to take your guys' stuff. So well, I mean, Al, if we're gonna lose a character or two in this movie, man, who do you think we're losing this week?
Well, like B just said, I wouldn't mind it being Hank Pym and the original Wasp. Like maybe
Wow.
something comes up and there's a scene where they have to decide themselves, they save themselves, or maybe even save their daughter. Because we could, I
Hmm.
sometimes forget that Evangeline Lilly's character is their daughter. So is it a situation where maybe they sacrifice themselves so that everybody else can get out? Like maybe that's how they get out, through their sacrifice. So if we do lose someone, um, I could see it maybe being them, so that there is a potential future story with Scott Lang and Ant-Man, and especially if they want to do like a big crossover Avenger movie, you're going to need Ant-Man. So you'll still leave Cassie for the Young Avengers, but this keeps Scott available for an Avengers movie.
Gotcha. B, talk to me, man. Who you think we're losing this episode?
I think the same. I really think we're losing Hank Pym, because they keep putting that helmet, the cracked Ant-Man helmet, and it's
Right.
been on a lot of the crew shirts. It's been on a lot of the marketing for this is the cracked helmet, and I feel like while Scott Lang will probably get kicked in the face and his helmet's going to crack, I think that Hank Pym is going to be the one to die. I think he's going to
Mhm.
sacrifice himself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think Scott is gonna die. I don't. I really don't believe that. But I do feel there may be something to him staying in the quantum realm or getting lost in the quantum realm. And kind of like it's going to be stupid. That's going to kind of recreate what they did with Infinity War and Endgame, where in Infinity War or after Infinity War, we should say, because Ant-Man and the Wasp was in between the two movies, he's going to get stuck down there again. And I think he's going to lose more time with his daughter. His daughter's going to get out and is going to try to find a way to get him back.
Mhm.
So I don't think necessarily we're going to have a death. I think we're just going to lose Scott to the timeline right now until God knows when. Um, if someone is going to die, though, I do personally think it's going to be either Hank Pym or Michelle Pfeiffer's character. I don't think Evangeline Lilly's character, the Wasp, is not going to go anywhere. But I do think the older characters might be going somewhere. Um, let's see how it all plays out. Any doubts that Kang gets out of the quantum realm? Al, you go first.
No, he's definitely making it out, and then becomes the big bad for the next phase.
All
But
right.
again, I'm just curious, what is it that he's looking for? What is it he needs Scott Lang's help to retrieve? So, and especially with the way Jonathan Majors seems to be playing this character, it looks like we're in for a fun ride with Kang.
Yep. And B, your thoughts for Kang?
I mean, I feel like he's gonna get out, obviously, or I feel like this whole Kang thing being like
Mm-hmm.
as soon as one Kang leaves, another one takes its place. I feel like Scott might beat a version of Kang, and another might instantly like appear
Sure.
and take his spot and get out. But then that also begs to be the question, like Al said, like what does he need to steal? But what's holding him there? Like realistically, what's holding him in the quantum realm?
Right. All right, it's gonna be interesting to see, man, and it's gonna be another fun night at the movies. I think Sign said he's gonna be there as well. He's gonna be leaving work early Thursday, so he could be there with us. So it's
Nice.
gonna be fantastic to have the four of us in the theaters on Thursday, seeing another good movie there. Yeah, man, we've missed going to the movies, so looking forward to seeing it. I've been seeing a couple of movies online, like oh Jesus, what's the movie I saw with J Lo? Oh God, that was a rough one to watch. Anyway, yeah, man. Yeah, it's going on. I should have not wasted my goddamn time. What's it called? But it loves J Lo, so I knew I was gonna see it.
Okay.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be
Shotgun
great
Wedding.
to see Shotgun Wedding called Jesus. So bad, so bad. But it did have a cool death scenes at the end, but
Yeah.
so bad. J Lo kills it though sometimes. So we'll see. Anyway, great to be back on here. And then last and not least, man, just a really quick, we do these on these big milestones. This is again our 200th podcast. And this started again from a simple idea of we do this anyway. We go to the movies and then we sit in the car and just talk about movies to now 200 recorded online, YouTube, in podcasts. We have done 200 episodes. Now, we thought we might get famous off of this shit, but we got about 85 subscribers on the YouTube. We get about maybe 30, 40 downloads on the podcasting app there each week, which is amazing. And the reason why we do this, honestly, is to be real. We love movies. And for me personally, I love talking to these guys. So to me, it's almost like an excuse to hang out and talk about movies for another hour during the week besides going to the movies itself. And it's also kind of pushed us to see movies more often than we normally did before. We used to go to the big blockbuster movies, but all those little movies in between, we would sometimes see it on our own or not see it together or whatever. But now we see them together because it's part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know, Al, what's something you hold with you about the podcasting here for 200 episodes?
Actually, I think you kind of just hit it on the head. Like before movies, it was something we did or something I did, but sometimes you took advantage of, all right, let me just throw this movie on to fill the next hour and a half or 2 hours. But now I find myself, like, as I watch a movie, even more so taking note of the movie, what happened in the movie, who was in the movie, what do I think about the movie. This way, if it can come up as a source of topic in the podcast, I have something to say. Oh, I watched this movie. This person was in it. It was about this. I recommend it. I don't recommend it. So whereas I could have just thrown on any movie in the past and just bullshitted through it or even fell asleep through it, now
Right.
I'm finding myself even more so paying attention just in case it could become material for the podcast.
That's crazy. It's all work now, Al.
But fun work.
Fun work, yeah, right. I wish this could be a career, but you guys keep not telling your friends about us. So, I blame the fans listening, but no. Seriously, we appreciate each and every one of you guys. I mean, one of our videos got 500 freaking views in 1 week, which was the Real Fan Review Awards. The Reallys for this year got a lot of reviews. And sometimes it's weird because we do talk about TV shows as well. Some of those podcasts do a little bit better than some of the movie podcasts, but it's always interesting to see what you guys like. B, talk to me, man. 200 episodes with the kid.
What's funny is I was actually talking to Dawn about this like maybe a couple weeks ago, that one of my favorite things about the podcast is that we didn't stop. When the I love this. And one of my favorite things is like when the pandemic first hit and we weren't able to record in Sanjay's basement any longer. it was like, oh crap, like the podcast, we can't do it. And just like everybody else, we found a way. And from that point, we haven't stopped. And I love that. It's just been so cool that like I get bummed out when like there's nights where I can't make it. And I'm like, fuck, like I really wanted to be on tonight. I wanted to talk about this, And so like I'll call out of work, no problem. I don't care. But like, like hope my boss didn't hear that. But like but like,
deleted.
Delete it. But it's
podcast.
like, well, like this, like I hate missing this, and so that's my favorite thing. Like out of 200 episodes, like I loved every single one.
Yeah, man. And I gotta be real with you guys, and 100% real. I keep thinking about like, is it too much? I got work, I got school, I'm doing things with the kids and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? It's an hour talking to my best friends. How do I pass that up? I'm gonna go to these movies and see them. It's just more reasons to see them with you guys. So it's like, while I want to stop recording the podcast, sometimes I'm like, nah, it's fun. It's so fun to hear your takes and to like go crazy on some of these movies. And then even doing the realies, like that's just so ridiculously stupid and funny. We make fun of some of these movies and we talk about them in a different way. And then you guys out there, you vote on these things that we put out there. It's always interesting to see what you guys think and what you guys take. And then again, I love hearing what my brother thinks and what my man Al thinks. It's just awesome, man. So, cheers to 200 episodes of the podcast, man. And hopefully, we still do this for 200 more, man. We'll see what's up. We'll see if we can come up with different ways to do this, or maybe as life eases up and the kids are a little bit less reliant on us, maybe the kids will come on the podcast or whatever, but we'll figure things out and make things a little different. But this works for us and this works for what we're doing. We're getting more podcast listeners, more viewers every week. So it's awesome, man. And we'll take it. And we appreciate you guys listening out there. So again, coming out of Long Island, New York, we are The Real Fan Review. Thank you for watching. We'll get back to you next week with the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review. Saying goodnight is my man Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
My brother B.
Adios, everybody.
And myself, Hob, saying everybody good night. We'll see you on the next podcast, the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review. Till next time.